Welcome back.
Hello.
It's Baxter and Jonathan here again. We're going to talk about something near and dear to everyone's hearts out in guitar-loving land. We're going to call this the fall and rise of Gibson guitars.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
The fall and rise. Because we could be like the rise, the fall, the rise and fall if we start doing it every year. But Gibson's had a tumultuous couple past years. We all know they've declared bankruptcy.
They have.
I'll blabber for a minute, then Jonathan's going to take over because there's some special stuff about Jonathan and Gibson. Well, you used to work there.
I used to work there for a brief period of time.
That's how long ago was that?
I started there right after the raid in 2011.
That's funny. We'll get into that in a minute too. But anyway, so Gibson's gone bankrupt, and they've come out of it. They have a new CEO, James Curley from Levi Strauss is taking over. He was the man who sort of brought Levi's back from the brink too. So we have lots of hopes for him, and we're hoping that he'll do things beyond making the guitar better, but also making it better for dealers. It's the guitar is not a very friendly company for any dealer, unless you're maybe the top 4,
Right.
5 maybe.
Maybe.
Some of the couple of big boxes, but still it's tough. You worked at a big box
I did that as well.
called Guitar
It's Guitar something.
Central.
Guitar.
That would be cool. It sounds like a high school. But, you're a Guitar Center. But we just want to talk about a little bit about why we think Gibson had its problems, and where we think it stemmed from, like maybe the workplace a little bit too. And so let's just go right into it. Like, tell me a little about working at Gibson.
So I worked at Gibson, like I said, in 2011. I had just moved to Nashville. I was kind of working with a publishing company, so trying to be a writer.
Thank God he stopped doing that.
So my neighbor, I lived in these little houses that were, this lady rented them to all songwriters. And my neighbor worked at Gibson. He's like, "Oh, I'll get you a job at Gibson." And I was like, "Wow, that'd be great. That'd be amazing."
My dream job as a child.
I was super excited because I didn't know anything about the company. All I knew, Les Paul's good, 335's good, SG's good. That's all I knew.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah. So I would go, fill out my application. There are like a million interviews you have to take and these little tests and weird things. And, passed all that, get hired. Somehow I got first shift, which was crazy.
That's awesome, because that means you work in the normal hours.
Supposedly. So my schedule was supposed to be 6:45 in the morning until 3:30. And I was like, man, I can go out and network and gig and all that stuff. But Gibson does this weird thing where it is mandatory overtime. It's production.
That sounds good. You're making more money?
Yes, kind of. Well, I will say this. I did make very good money at Gibson.
Okay,
and
awesome.
The people there do. And I think that's why people stay. And my neighbor, to be fair, loved it, and I think is still there. But
awesome.
He, anyway, so I would get there at 6:45, pretty regimented. And let's say for the day that I had to build on my little assembly line, and I was in final assembly, so I would solder pickups in most of the time. They might want me to get through 400 guitars.
Wait, how many?
Maybe 400. Now 400, to be fair, was me and my little counterpart, because there was an assembly line and then a replica of it like facing me on the other side of me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the guitars would come down these little rollers. It'd get to me. I had all my little tools. I'd solder everything.
This reminds me of that I Love Lucy episode.
It's a lot like that.
The Chocolate Factory.
But
not as funny.
Okay. So between us, we might have to build 400 guitars. But it might hit 12 o'clock and they might say, "You know what, guys, we ran out of gold top paint because nobody paid the bill." So we would just stand there. Then they might decide, it might take them 3 hours to reset it for, like, we're going to build these dumb Firebirds. Well, second shift would be like just hanging out behind us.
This is like second team ready to go in, like, put me in, coach.
Right, but we had to finish our number.
So it's not as excited as put me in, coach.
So I'm there till like 7:30 at night.
Oh.
Like every day. Which, again, was great money. But people would get so tense. Like almost every day someone would yell at someone else or just crazy stuff would happen. So, you're there from like 6:45 in the morning till 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30 sometimes. Ooh. You never knew until like Thursday or Friday if you had to work Saturdays. And if you had to work a Saturday, it was never like, oh, let's come in and work till 12. It was the same thing. You would end up being there till 7:30.
Because you're a working musician at this point too.
I was also a working musician. In fact, the end of my career at Gibson was I was scheduled to play the Bluebird Cafe.
Which if anybody knows, the Bluebird Cafe is the Bluebird Cafe.
It was my first time, and I was actually, it wasn't like I was a guest for an established songwriter.
So you were actually not even supposed to play. You just sort of snuck in.
I snuck in, so it wasn't like it wasn't like the new writers' night. No, it was like the legit Bluebird. And I asked my boss. I said, "Hey, I don't want to leave early today. I just want to get off at 3:30 at my normal time, like after 8 hours." And he was like, "Well, we'll see."
Oh.
Well, at 3:30, obviously.
The end of Jonathan's career at Gibson arises.
So, I left that day, which I'm sure was some kind of thing. I mean, I didn't get fired over that. You could do 2 of those like bad infractions and you got fired automatically. But I left, went and played my thing, and then that was when I kind of decided in my brain it's time to do something different. So that was the end. But it'd be crazy things like sometimes you would go to take out the trash for the day, and we had these chutes that you'd put the garbage bags in and it'd go to the dumpster. Sometimes there would be like a giant pile of trash beside them. They'd be padlocked because like we didn't pay the bill for the dumpsters.
Oh no! So it's just trash falling out of the dumpsters?
Just weird. Yeah, I mean there was some older gentlemen there who didn't talk to me for a while, and I thought, oh, these guys are just kind of, not nice people. But in reality, after a while, they were like, oh, we don't talk to anybody before their 90 days is up because everyone quits. So that gives you an idea of the sort of hostility.
It sounds like a special work environment. Wait, what was that noise back there? It was terrible. It was a terrible moment. So this is what most people at end of shift at Gibson were like, I think.
It was a lot like this. This is actually a good.
This is Jonathan when you were trying to wrap it up.
Right.
This is one of our other co-hosts. He works in the back. He does all the fret wire and he does the soldering.
Yeah.
So this is Augustus. He's our solderer, our lead solderer. So in conclusion of working there, it wasn't something you really enjoyed, or did you like it sometimes? It's still Gibson.
I met some great people. I saw some cool guitars.
That's what I like to hear.
I learned a lot of things. It just made me sad that this iconic thing from my childhood and learning to play guitar was just not exactly what I thought. My overall sort of takeaway was, man, this place is pretty badly managed.
Okay. Well, I guess that's sort of the issue is what happened. We all, if you've read anything, we know Henry, the old CEO, who's out now. He took some pretty big risks. First off being robot tuners, which is 2015.
Now, when I was there, they were just shutting down. They took apart the factory and turned it into Firebird X-Land.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
I don't think many people remember that because that didn't even.
Well, they made this thing that looked like a Firebird that they squished, so it was small but shaped like a Firebird.
How much did it cost?
Like $10,000
for a guitar with a computer that's obsolete immediately. But anyway,
it had all the effects and stuff. So they had a whole, and part of the reason I got hired was because they pulled so many people and put them into just making that thing.
Oh.
So when it tanked, all those people came back, and it was like, hey, what do we do with all these people? So I mean, just bad decision after bad decision.
Those are the small bad decisions. Then Henry's big ones were, buying the Philips television and trying to. He was pretty much going head to head against Sony and Microsoft and big consumer electronics businesses. He's trying to make it a lifestyle brand, which it already is. It's Gibson.
It is Gibson.
You're wearing a Gibson shirt, which you actually had it.
This was from the little employee store at Gibson. That's where the shirt came from. I worked in.
Exactly. Mommy is hopefully sweeping the guitar frets. Do you sweep guitar frets?
You could.
I was going to say sweeping the floor, but then I realized that's kind of offensive because we don't do that here. But she's also a great fret polisher. That's what Mommy does. But yeah. Anyway, so in conclusion, again with Gibson.
Mommy, I don't.
And then I'm gonna go back to finish those pots. You gotta finish those pots. Get those soldered. Solder those immediately. The Gibson ones, on the Firebird X that we have in the back that no one's buying.
That's right. Get those circuit boards going.
So the disasters, but we think there's a lot of hope. So some of the other.
I think so.
And with Curly, I'm going to call him that. He's for first name basis. Hopefully, they'll be great for all the line of Gibson. We've seen some people are already online a little concerned because what he did a lot was with help, he put a lot of the production overseas for Levi's, which brought the cost dramatically down. But the quality went up in some aspects when he got proper plants.
Yeah.
And and there's hints that this might happen with Gibson. And at first, when I was like, "Oh my God, this is the end of the world," I thought that too because I'm an old person, and it was just scary to me. But then I was like, Fender makes some guitars overseas.
That's what I thought. If Gibson could do something like what Fender's done with the Player Series, it might be
which
awesome.
is a phenomenal guitar.
It's
If I could have had
phenomenal
that as an entry-level
Oh my
guitar, I would have
Lord.
lost my mind.
Yeah.
Lost my mind. Yeah.
I think about when I was learning to play, Gibson was like, I couldn't even imagine having a Gibson. In fact, I grew up in a small town. They were like unicorns. You saw Epiphones and you saw, Made in Mexico Fenders, and you saw a ton of PV stuff.
Maybe an American Standard.
If you saw
that was
that,
the
it was
really
like-
rich person.
The custom shop was not even I didn't even know that existed. So
Yes.
if there had been like a middle of the road, like a good affordable Gibson,
Imagine like a Gibson for $1,000. That's like good.
that's really good.
That
Yeah.
says Gibson. That's really good. Not just the Gibson Studio, which is sort of a dressed up Epiphone with a Gibson stamp on it. Like let's say like a great Gibson at $1,000, because like I think the Fender Player Series at 600, 650, 670 in that range, they're phenomenal.
Absolutely.
They're phenomenal guitars. I would have loved to have had one. I'm proud to like sell them.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's like there's still parts. It could go bad too. There's lots of we're not gonna bring up one of our favorites. Guild did the same thing, and it didn't work out so well for them. We were looking at sales charts the other day that. This is I don't even know what we're getting to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because we love Guild guitars.
Yeah,
if you
they're
get a
awesome.
vintage '70s Guild, you're like, oh my God, it's a Canon, it's awesome. But like I think the Taylor's GS Mini Koa, that one guitar sells more than the entire Guild line does right now. And it's an issue of just name recognition, production issues, and so that's the way it can go south. But
Yeah, it could definitely go either way at this point.
but with Gibson, it's not going to. I think they've got the right leadership in play. I'm still a fanboy, even
Of
through all
course.
this disasters of what's happened. I own a ton of Gibsons, probably more than anything.
I will say, even when I was there were some quality control things, but on the whole, most of the guitars that came out of Gibson USA when I was there were still phenomenal guitars. The level of how many hands touched them, like how much stuff was
Yes.
done by hand, is still insane. It's still phenomenal. I mean, it's just so if this new guy could
Can
tweak
do
a
it.
few things,
He can do it.
he could do it.
So let's all do our little hands together. And I don't know what this is. It's just like power hand right now. I'm just like, I'm excited. Come on, Curly. Bring it back. You can do it. We're excited. Stay tuned. We're going to have some more stuff. When all of our friends at Gibson, we still have friends there. We're talking to them. We can see it's already transforming a little bit. It's not as Mordorian. That's a Lord of the Rings reference. I'm never going to have girls talk to me again. But just stay tuned. We're excited. Can't wait to see what Gibson does. Good luck. Godspeed. See you guys next time.